if I don't want to do something or if I feel like I'm not making any progress, I just take it slow.
Yeah.
Because
All you gotta do.
Even at a snail pace, you're doing more than if you're just sitting or scared to do it.
It's amazing having leaders and mentors like that have all the wisdom, but they still respect the energy of like the younger generation. And then there's collaboration that happens there, like true magic that occurs because you have people working together for a common goal.
I mean, we employ over 1,500 people. We serve more than 250,000 meals a day.
Say that one more time to that camera. How many meals?
250,000 meals. And that's across breakfast, lunch, snacks, supper.
Hey, welcome to another episode of the NextUp Podcast. I'm here at Orange County Public Schools, or as they like to say,
the real Orange County.
The real Orange County Public Schools. And we're going to be chatting with Mallory. So Mallory, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. So obviously I know about you, but the people out there may not know about you. So you wanted to do like a brief or long backstory on you. Give me your origin story, I like to say.
Origin. Okay, How far back do you want me to go?
As far as you want. We got all the time in the world.
Okay, so I'll start here and I'll go back. So my name is Mallory Reeves. I'm a senior administrator with Orange County Public Schools, Food and Nutrition Services. It's just a fancy title, meaning that I have a whole bunch of offices under me, whose managers and teams deserve all the credit. So on a day-to-day basis, I oversee the payroll, the finance, the procurement, farm to school, sustainability, food recovery, all of those clumped together. And like I said, wonderful team, brilliant managers, and they really do all of the hard work. And I've been here now for 6 years.
6 years, okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And you came in at that position, or did you get promoted to it? Okay.
No, I came in at that position. I was working for the Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services for probably 9-10 years prior.
Okay.
And then this position opened up, and I was actually in a field office in Orlando. I was the director of, oh gosh, it's been so long I can't even remember my title. Community programs. Anyways, I oversaw TFAP and then the Commodity Supplemental Food Program for seniors.
Oh, wow.
And it was great. It was very rewarding. But my child, he was young and I was traveling all the time. So when I saw this position opened up, we were only allowed to travel twice a year. And that's what I remember seeing about the job posting. And I said, done.
Sign me up. I'm in.
And I really didn't think I was going to get it, because it was so good, too good to be true. It was right here, no travel, under Laura Gilbert at the time,
Laura's
infamous
awesome.
Laura Gilbert, who had quite the reputation at the state.
Oh, what kind of reputation?
For being just a bulldog, right?
She gets stuff done.
Yes. And she broke all the glass ceilings, and she just a great innovator of her time.
She was a disruptor. Absolutely.
And a great mentor. My time under her, as my best boss in the world.
I've chatted with a few people that worked underneath Laura, and they all say the same thing. One of the best mentors and bosses, leaders that they've ever had. And I can see it. Yeah, she's amazing. Yeah. So was there a big, almost like a culture shock from leaving the state to come into a school district? Like, was it what you expected or no?
No. At the state, it's all about policy, regulations. You get your orders, from the USDA, and it's more of a bird's eye view, right? Because you're overseeing all 67 counties in Florida. And I came in at the state as a reviewer. So I was reviewing the school districts every 5 years.
So you were their best friend, huh?
Yes.
They loved you.
Yes. And when I came in, because I was the newbie, they would send me down to Miami all the time, because that was back in the days where you couldn't fly, you had to drive, and it was 8 hours. So I did a lot of reviews of the summer program down in Miami. But you pick up on the nuances, right, of the districts and the differences in how districts interpret the regs, and just their ability, either by, a learning curve or maybe perhaps what they're also dealing with at the local level. But at the end of the day, you're tasked with making sure that they're following those policies and procedures. And because you're not working on a day-to-day and you're only seeing the best of the best, because 90% of the districts will only show the best of the best, because why not when you're getting reviewed?
Yeah.
That is your time to shine.
Yeah.
I don't know where I was going with that.
Well, I'm curious about the interpretations.
Yes.
So, like, are the regs written to be interpreted in different ways based on a need, or is it supposed to be like it is what it is, but it can be interpreted either this way or that way?
I always feel like they're written in a way that, yes, you can interpret it one way or the other, but then, you receive guidance from the USDA. The state will interpret it. And that's what I realized too, is state to state, they might interpret it a little bit different, especially procurement regs or financial management regulations, policies. But that was a big culture shock when I moved and worked at the local level. I really wanted to focus my attention at providing these programs to the community, to those, near and dear. I mean, I grew up in Seminole County. Orange County was my stomping ground, born and raised here in Central Florida. And I wanted to make sure that the community had the best of the school nutrition programs. And I was like, if I could be just even a small part of that, that would be great. However, when coming down from the local level, you just see things so much different because you're in it. You're in just like the weeds, whereas at the state level, you're seeing it very high up. And then you go down here and you're like, oh, that policy just doesn't make sense. And then you have the district, right? And because food service is an enterprise, they don't necessarily align with the district at all times on all things, right? And so that was definitely that. It almost clicked in place at that point where it's like, that's why maybe there were findings on this regulation or this policy, or perhaps that's why it's not as easy as we thought it should be to implement at the state level. Yeah.
One of the things I remember working at when I was at the district, at Pasco, was sometimes I felt like there was a silo or two different silos set up between like food nutrition services and then like the education side. And like me being in IT, it was almost like food service was sometimes fighting over things like just getting IT support. And we were lucky because they actually had a dedicated IT team for food service, but even like doing things like breakfast in the classroom. I mean, like you would think that everybody wants to feed the kids because a hungry kid is not going to learn.
Right.
So why can't we align and just feed kids? Well, teachers don't want to clean up the mess in the classroom sometimes, but.
Or the custodians, the unions might say, nope, it's not in the job description, which is totally A-okay, but that's not something I feel like the higher you get in those levels that are actually making the policies and procedures think about. And that's okay too. And I think that we've come a long way because I've been doing this for 15 years, which isn't a long time, but long enough to see the differences in the conversations that are being had and the people that are actually being listened to, which makes all the difference. But
So after you got to the district here, did you almost become like an advocate for districts? Like speaking back to the state, like, hey guys, remember me? This might not work.
However, when I first came here, Laura, of course, opened me, welcomed me with open arms. But everyone else, I was a state employee. I was the one that reviewed them. I was, they thought that I was taking the information and siphoning it back up to the state.
Gosh, they thought you were a snitch.
A spy. And Mark will flat out say that, our current director. And so it made a lot of sense because I didn't even have an office chair when I came in.
What?
Yes.
Where were you sitting?
In an office, but without a chair. Yes. Yeah. So we laugh about it now, but I think that too is something that needs to be fixed. And I think the state of Florida does it really, really well, where the Department of Ag works very closely and very well with their districts. But hearing some other states, it's not necessarily that way. And to your point, the enterprise, the food service enterprise, I became an advocate for this as an enterprise to the district as well, trying to express as much knowledge as I can to say, no, we are actually an enterprise. These are our funds. They can't be mixed with these funds. You can't take our funds. Thankfully, Laura had set it up in a way where, like your county, we had our own specific offices. But even in that sense, you kind of hit some snags because they're like, oh, well, you're not the real procurement, or you're not, you don't really know your finances.
Yeah.
But it's like, no, you have to be a subject matter expert in child nutrition, which operates under different set of regulations than the Department of Ed.
Yeah, it would blow my mind, and I would hear stories from like friends that are directors about how they're trying to get access to the food service funds, like all these like crazy ways, like maybe charging more for gas and like doing all these small things. I'm like, that is wild. And
yes.
I love hearing that like the state and the USDA has the programs back, and like they can actually refer back to the USDA and be like, hey, the government says you can't take this money because it's meant for food service.
Yes.
So they're always supportive that way.
Yes, and our state agency is very supportive, and I have to say that the district is very supportive of us as well. I hear horror stories of other districts that don't work well together, but then I also hear stories of how other districts, they gel very, very, very well. They respect that it's a different program. So I feel like there's hope in that we can always, everybody can get better. Because at the end of the day, it's just about the students and feeding them.
I heard one horror story from a mutual friend that we have. I'm not going to say what district or what his name is, but at his district, it almost felt, he said that it felt like the district was against food service because the district had the perception that students could eat better food elsewhere. And he has been like on this rampage, like with innovating the new menus there, doing all this stuff. And like, I tell people all the time, like I've had meals in his district that were better than what I had at, dinner the night before.
Yes.
It's crazy, but I feel like the district is starting to finally like break down that silo and start supporting the food service program.
Yes, because I think that it really is. It's communication is key, knowledge is key, and just getting past those old-fashioned stigmas of, oh, lunch ladies. Like, we don't even call our staff anymore lunch ladies.
Can't stand that term.
Yes, and just the stigma of, oh, pizza and french fries.
Yeah.
But we scratch cook. We source, no antibiotics ever. The food that comes in is free from any food dyes or preservatives. Manufacturers have to make specific items just for K-12 that they're not going to sell commercially because of the health. The 51% whole wheat.
Grain.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, it's incredible how healthy it is. And that the sodium has to be a certain limit. Now the sugar. The calories.
Yeah.
So I think if we can get over the hump of not only educating, but people actually listening, especially parents, I think it would go a long way.
Yeah, so it's funny you mentioned that because that's kind of like been a mission of mine now, is to help change the perception of school meals, because like most people's perception of it is not the reality. Like the food not only is healthier for you because of all the regulations, but it actually tastes really good. Sometimes better than like the store-bought stuff. So it's like my mission as of this past ANC to help like rebrand school meals. But I can't do it myself, but I can do it with people like you who are doing amazing things, vendors, associations, alliances, and it's been fun so far. We're about to actually kick off the movement with some videos and some trainings, all sorts of stuff.
That's exciting.
We're pumped about it.
That's very exciting. I'm pumped to hear that too, because we employ over 1,500 people. We serve more than 250,000 meals a day.
Say that one more time to that camera. How many meals?
250,000 meals. And that's across breakfast, lunch, snacks, supper. We have a whole team of dietitians creating the menus. We have an entire team of people putting together, recipes. We do taste testing. We do a huge food show once a year to make sure that the students like the food, because if our customers don't like the food, why even serve it, right?
Exactly.
So nothing comes in that's not tested by the kids. And now that we're fully CEP, we've seen our numbers increase. And so I think, that last step is just advocating that school lunch. It hasn't been the way it's been for decades.
Completely different.
Yeah.
And I feel like you guys are always competing with like the restaurants, but you guys serve more mouths than any restaurant in any community. Like
and theme park.
Oh, because you've got the theme parks here, like Disney and Universal, and man, you got all sorts of competition everywhere.
Yes. Yeah.
Do you guys ever collaborate with the theme parks or local sports teams or anything like that?
No, actually, no, not to my knowledge.
Okay.
At least in the last 6 years. That's a good idea.
You have a pretty good, you got the Magic here, you got the soccer team, all sorts of opportunities. Disney, yeah. Oh, that's awesome. So what do you think is, I don't know, like in your opinion, like what is the biggest challenge that you guys face when educating parents about your meals?
I think it would be the nutritional aspect of the meals. Because we still have a lot of parents that would rather, that would say, oh, my child either will never eat that, or, oh, that food looks unappetizing, even though they've never been in the cafeteria. And so they pack their child a lunch. Well, now that all the meals are free, right, offered at no charge, a lot of these students are going in with their packed lunch, but also getting the school lunch, which is great because it's showing that they know that the food is good.
They know what's up.
Yes. And it's just a testament to all the employees and all the staff who spend hours behind one single food item, which I don't think a lot of people understand too. That's a challenge. The sourcing, the preparing, the forecasting, the menuing. I mean, it takes a well-oiled machine to do that. And then to have individuals just, once it's all said and done, to say, no, my kid would never eat that. And so I think that's the biggest challenge, just getting them to get out of their own head for a minute and to really see everything that's behind, like in the background.
Yeah. One of my friends recently had a parent come in and like do a volunteer day in the school, and it completely blew the parent's mind because he had no idea that all these things went into their programs, and that the food was as good as it was. And they had to make so much of it for all the kids in the school. Like it was, I love it when I hear stories like that, or hear stories of like the angry parent that calls because they're upset because the kid's breakfast was, I don't know, like maybe the kid lied about what he ate for breakfast or lunch. And then the director's like, oh, why don't you come in and like check out the program and join us, and you could give us your opinion after you've been here. And then just completely do a full 180. And now they're like the school's biggest champion, right?
You're right.
Yeah.
And that's usually how it is. The biggest complainer will also be the loudest champion, which is great. And I have to say our school board is completely supportive. So that definitely helps. Administration completely supportive. And in our district, the principals don't oversee the food service managers. Obviously, they report to us, but there's still the relationships still very, very good between the two. That's good. I have found when that helps alleviate any challenges also in the cafeteria with the volunteers or the parents. And I have to say the paraprofessionals are absolutely great. I mean, everybody, we get the one or two parents, but as we progress, if we can just get over that hump of just blanketing the whole program as, oh man, I remember back in my day, just stop, because it's not like that anymore. Yeah,
exactly. So how many employees do you guys have here?
We have over 1,500 total employees.
Food service only? Food service. Okay. How many students do you feed?
250,000 meals a day. So divide that by 4.
Gosh, that's a lot. That is a lot.
I know. What other restaurants are you going to go to that have maybe 3 employees that can, in an hour, serve thousands of kids?
Gosh, that's so wild to think about.
Our food service employees are the most passionate individuals I've ever met. And I have to say that as a whole, you have to be of a certain mindset to work in food service in a school.
Oh yeah. Like you're not here for the money. Like you're here because you love to feed kids. Yes. You love doing a good thing.
Yes.
And that's why I love this industry, because everybody in this industry is so kind and passionate. It's like, how could I ever want to go do anything else? Like I'm home. I'm not going anywhere.
If I'm having a bad day, I go to a school because those individuals work tirelessly. Our staff at the schools, I mean, just think about during COVID, our staff didn't go home. They didn't get, they didn't sit. They're
first responders. They couldn't.
Right.
Yeah.
Feeding staff every day. And it's not like they had a period afterwards to, regroup or decompress.
Nope.
And now we're serving more meals than ever because we're fully CEP.
Yeah.
So great set of individuals.
Yep. And what I love is like watching the line workers do their thing and they know the kids' names. I'm like, I can't remember the person's name I met yesterday, but they know every single kid in this lunch session right now. It's wild.
And they know their allergies.
Yeah.
They know their parents. They know what they typically will take. I mean, to me, it's a piece of art when you go to watch it and everything. Everyone knows their roles, but at the same time, there's that camaraderie. And then with the kids. And that's so important because this is really the only time during the school day that kids get a chance to decompress too.
For real, yeah. So I went to Pasco County Schools. Lake Myrtle Elementary was my elementary school, right? And then years later, I accepted a position working for Pasco. And the very first school I went to was my old elementary school because I hadn't been there since I moved on to middle school, right? So I get there and I walk in and I'm just like meet and greet, like talking to people. And one of the employees there was like, "You look familiar."
No.
And I'm like, I've never met you before. And she was like, "No, like you went to school here." And she remembered me from an elementary school.
Oh my gosh.
And this is like 20 plus years later. And she remembers me. It blew my
I bet
mind.
it did.
Blew my mind. But that's a level of like love and dedication they have for their students.
It's so true.
Yeah.
It's so true. And we have individuals that are retiring after, 30, 35, 40 years. And I'm sad to see them go because not only do they have all those years of knowledge, but think about all the people that they've impacted. I mean, I bet you remember your lunch staff. I remember vividly memories of school lunch and eating in the cafeteria, and then those that were nice versus not nice, So, I mean, it makes a huge impact on the day.
So speaking of lunch, what is your favorite menu item that you guys are offering here?
Well, we offer pretty epic salads.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh, from, was it Calera? What's the name of the, Calera, right?
Yes.
Okay. Do you guys still work with them?
We do.
All right.
And then we also, our vendor, CK Produce.
Okay.
They source great food for us, and we have in our contract that we want local, so they do everything that they can do to provide in that local. But I have to say the salads, but the strawberry milk. I think we're one of the very few districts that still offer strawberry milk. So every time I go in, I have to have a strawberry milk. And I don't even like milk. Milk does not agree with me.
Milk doesn't like me either, but I sure love it.
Yes.
Especially strawberry milk. Like chocolate milk is okay, but nothing beats strawberry milk.
Strawberry milk is thebomb.com. And then we have wings. And this year we've been offering new sauces with the wings. So good.
I think I might have seen something about that on social media. Were you guys promoting it recently?
Yes.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And we just did bat-shaped nuggets for Halloween.
Okay. See, look at that. Schools are innovative.
I know. And then they send pictures in of the staff dressed up for every holiday.
Yeah.
It blows my mind how much these food service managers go above and beyond out of their own pocket just to make sure that their cafeteria looks, their kitchen looks inviting and warm for the students.
Yeah, they love what they do.
It doesn't go unnoticed.
Yeah, it definitely doesn't.
No.
And your staff does a really good job sharing on social media because you have a few people that I've connected with, and like they're always posting amazing photos or pictures with kids, and it's just they do a good job.
Yeah, our marketing coordinator Marissa Bell is fantastic.
Yeah, you guys are on it. One of the leaders. So speaking about being a leading district, you have a new role with the Urban School Food Alliance. Right?
I do.
So what are you doing?
I am the secretary.
Okay, you excited about that?
I'm excited and anticipatory. Is that the word I'm looking for?
Okay.
So the USFA is a great association. And I'm not just saying that because I'm on the board. They are doing great big things and making waves. So it's not just for the 19 large districts that are members. I wanted to be a part of something bigger than myself and, the organization. So not only do I get to network with, brilliant minds and see the challenges facing other large districts, but at the same time, moving the needle in the right direction for the program. But I also understood the brevity of being on the board, and I did not want to slow the USFA down by being a member if I couldn't dedicate the time necessary to help move that needle along. So thankfully, I have a very supportive boss. and he understands
You
the
mean
great
the one that
things.
was heckling you earlier?
Yes, that one. He only does it because he loves his staff. So when I knew that I had that time and I could dedicate that time to the board and to the mission and vision of USFA, I said, oh man, I'm all in.
Yeah, that's great. And OCPS is one of the founding members of USFA too. From Laura back in the day helped make this whole thing happen.
Isn't that amazing?
That's crazy.
I mean, she had a vision even before there was a vision.
Yeah, she really did. And it's funny too because I guess you could say NxtGen is like an innovative, disruptive company. And we were doing new things that had never been done in K-12. And some people just weren't on board with it because they don't like disruption or new ideas or whatever. But not Laura. Like she grabbed on and she was like, let's go. And it's just cool. It's amazing having leaders and mentors like that have all the wisdom, but they still respect the energy of like the younger generation. And then there's collaboration that happens there and like true magic that occurs because you have people working together for a common goal. And that was her.
I couldn't have said it better myself.
Yeah. We should make sure we record that. I need to write that down or something. Good thing we are recording. So the last USFA meeting was in Chicago.
Yes.
Yeah, my memory is getting horrible.
Well, you travel all over the place.
I need to eat more fruits and vegetables or something.
Right?
Yeah. So what do you think?
Have an apple.
Oh, yeah. Can I eat this apple?
You may.
So how was the last meeting for you?
Fantastic.
Yeah.
I go to a lot of conferences and I always look forward to the USFA association meetings because I feel like I get my time out of it. So being away from family, being away from work, things add up.
Yeah.
But the USFA team and its member districts really, I think, respect that time. And so I come back not only with so many ideas, but with the ability to actually implement them.
Yeah.
It is, instead of leaving a conference and being like, oh, I need a day just to regroup, I leave that conference and I'm sad that it's not longer. And at the end of the day, when you have to write the survey, I'm always like, we need more time. We need more days. But I also respect the fact that they don't.
Yeah. It's a jam-packed 2 days or so. And like not only are there like amazing districts and directors and staff there, but like USDA comes in and some other big organizations and they don't mess around. Like you guys have like you network and have a great time and talk and collaborate, but the training and the updates that you guys get are next level. Yeah,
long days for sure, but totally worth it. I don't mind blocking off on my calendar for the 2 times that we go and meet with the other districts. And for the membership price, I mean, it's already so low.
Oh, yeah. It's like, why would you say no?
Right. And Katie and her team are so concerned with making sure that you get every dollar's worth that I feel like, man, you should really raise the membership cost because not only am I getting every dollar's worth, but it's surpassing that.
Yeah. Well, it's funny you mentioned long days because Katie loves to start early. And if you're not on that bus, she's going to leave you.
That's right. Yes.
She's hilarious.
She can run circles around me.
That woman has energy for days. So much energy. Yeah, she's been a great friend and mentor. And I met her, gosh, it was probably 6 years ago. I was on my first, I think it was one of my first conferences I ever went to, and I worked for Mealviewer at the time. And we went on I think it was a tour at Volrath. And I remember seeing her, and she was talking to somebody. I'm like, she looks important, like, and she seems really cool. Like, I want to get to know her. And we chit-chatted for a bit, like, nothing crazy. But I always, like, stayed on her radar. And then when I launched our publication, Serve, it's a digital magazine, we call it a Digizine, I remember sending it to her out of the blue. Like, I hadn't talked to her in like 3 years, something like that. I didn't know she remembered me, but she was one of those leaders that saw innovative ideas and was able to apply like wisdom to it to make it better. And that's what she did. And I love that woman. Like, she's amazing. Yes. Absolutely amazing. Yeah. Yeah, she's great. So what's a day like for you here at the original OCPS?
It's everyone, I'm sure you get this answer a lot, but it's different. So
every day is different.
every day is different. No, it all depends. Like, so for example, we just went through a hurricane. And
technically too, I guess you could say, huh?
Right.
Yeah.
But for one hurricane, the district shut down for, I want to say 3 days. And so all the staff gets to go home. And being over payroll, we had to monitor that because, you know, of course, we're not going to dock pay. Or the district's very, 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 very staff-centered, which I love. They really take care of their staff.
Yeah.
So we also needed, though, to man shelters because shelters were opening.
See, people don't think about that. You guys have to work shelters too.
Yes.
Yeah.
And even though it's in job descriptions, if you need to be with your family, you need to go be with your family, right? And this one, it was supposed to hit us directly, but we had 101 volunteers man our shelters, over 2,500 hours. We had individuals spend the night. We had individuals that stayed the whole time. And for what? You know, to help the community, to make sure that there was no interruption in meal service. And it was just incredible. I mean, it gives me goosebumps. It was just incredible. So for the last I would say, man, that was already in like the beginning of October. We just finalized the last of the hurricane pay. And that took up a bulk of my time and in the team's time.
Yeah, I bet.
Making sure that everything's accurate because there's 2 things you don't mess with. You don't mess with a person's time or a person's pay.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Oh yeah.
So if they stayed at home, we wanted to make sure they were paid exactly what they were supposed to be paid. And then if they came and worked in the shelter, we wanted to make sure that they not only got that additional time overtime, but their disaster pay as well.
So how many, were they schools that opened up as shelters or community centers or both?
Both, but how it works in our district is Orange County itself will open up shelters, but then Orange County School Board or the school district will open up shelters.
Gotcha. So did you guys have any major damage, like personally or at the district?
No, thank goodness. No, but everybody from the West Coast came over, so we had a lot of evacuees.
Yeah. So for us over in like the Tampa area, I'm more in Land O'Lakes, kind of like the suburbs. I'm about 45 minutes from any water. So by me, we didn't have any like flooding from the bay, but we had rivers that were starting to flood, which nobody really like thought about. But like day or so after the hurricane, I'm getting all these flood warnings and the neighborhoods around me, but all the hurricane water was like coming down the rivers and they were overflowing and there were cars that were underwater. It was
that's so scary.
Wild. Yeah, that was crazy. But luckily we were okay. We were very blessed and didn't have any major damage. Like something hit my roof that night, but didn't go through the roof, thank God.
Yeah, I do not look forward to hurricane season. I am counting down the days until it's over.
Yeah. So you didn't stand by the window like I did watching the trees go sideways or go outside?
No, I sat on my couch, wrapped in a blanket. Everybody else was sleeping in the house.
Yeah.
And I had at one point I'm like, this is probably not good, but I couldn't sleep. And I just stared outside the whole time. Like something is going to blow over, something's going to come in. And the wind was really bad. At one point I was thinking this is probably the worst spot to be in, right in front of a window. But it was like a train wreck. I could not stop. I was really worried about this one. So for people to actually leave their homes and their families to go work a shelter, I wanted to make sure that their pay was not screwed up in any way, shape, or form. And so our team worked tirelessly on that. And so, that's been filling my time. I also oversee the procurement team. Our procurement manager is absolutely brilliant. So he does everything plus some. Like he created this kudos. His team created this kudos award recognition program, which is not procurement. But man, they are out of the box thinkers.
Yeah.
And when you ask that team to do something, they will do it and they get it done.
That's cool. So what can I buy with the 100 kudos points?
Okay. So let me give you some backstory on this. We had a survey that came out. The district put out a survey, and one of the results was that employees wanted more recognition. And Mark really took that to heart. He said, how can I be a better senior director? And he got feedback, which is, to me, incredible because to hear sometimes feedback, it's hard. It takes a specific individual leader. So with the recognition, not only did he started doing employee of the month recognition. We brought back our end of the year gala, which we hadn't done in ages.
That sounds like fun.
Oh, it was.
Yeah.
It was an award gala, red carpet.
Oh, wow. That sounds awesome.
Yes. And it was for food service employees and their guests. And we awarded them. And it was an incredible night.
That is cool.
And then the procurement team said, well, that's great, but what about if you just want to give someone a compliment, right? Mm-hmm. Like very similar to drops in a bucket. Mm-hmm. They originally called it brownie points, but over time it's got changed to kudos. So say, for example, I wanted to be like, Marlon, thank you for letting me be on the podcast. I can do that, but now I can also write it and it awards you points. So every time you give someone a compliment or say thank you for X, Y, and Z, it'll give you 25 kudos. You can buy speakers with that. It's a reward system. So once you get enough points up, you can get, like an umbrella, which is probably the most popular item we have on there. Cups, speakers. I'm voting to provide like a half day off coupon if you get enough points, but you can. It's totally based on what you want to do. So if you, like any other reward program, so if you want to save your kudos and then buy something at the end of the year, you can do that. Or if you want to spend them as you receive them, you can do that too.
That's cool. It sounds like at elementary schools that have similar things. And my sons, they'll burn their points as soon as they get them. But last year, and this is my daughter every year, she always saves up all of her points till the very last moment. And last year, she saved it up so she could be principal for a day. And that's what she did. She was literally principal for the day at school. And the kids just love these points. Like, I love these points. I can't spend this, but I still want one, right?
Yes, I love the points. And I love when I get a kudos because it makes me super happy. And what else? Because the team doesn't stop there, right? So they created this whole thing. They put it together. They manage it. There's 2 stipulations. You can't give yourself points and you can't just say thank you, right? You have to write a meaningful description of why you're giving someone points because that person's going to read it.
Yeah.
And there's been over 10,000 submissions.
Wow.
Since we started this at the beginning of the school year.
That is cool.
Yes.
So do you guys save the messages in any sort of way? All right,
yes.
Cool. All right.
Yes.
And then what do you do with them?
Well, I'm sure that I want to know what's being said, right? Yeah. Especially about my team, all the good things, because I read, and I don't know if this is true, or if I'm totally going to butcher it, but for every negative comment you hear, you have to get either 7 or 9 positive comments to outweigh that one negative. Wow. And words matter. Kindness matters. So I like to read what's being said because I want to make sure that the team knows how important that they are.
Yeah. It would be kind of cool to take all the comments and then maybe open up or close a manager meeting or an all employee meeting. Like, hey, this is how thankful your colleagues were for you last year or for this year, and it could be a cool way to start.
It would be. I mean, it really would be, and it's interesting to see what people will comment and give kudos on.
Yeah,
because it doesn't have to be a grand gesture. Washing dishes. People are so thankful to have other people help them wash dishes. And to me, that's not something I would necessarily think of, but I think that is one of the main kudos
points. You know what you could do?
What?
If you had them, I'm getting super nerdy here, so I'm sorry. So if you had all of the kudos saved digitally, you could take all the comments and drop it into ChatGPT or something, and then have ChatGPT write some sort of monologue or district description or a recap or do something based on who your team really is and based on all these thanks and kudos and that sort of thing.
Love that idea.
Yeah.
Totally taking that idea.
Go for it. It's all yours.
Gratis.
It is all yours.
That is excellent because it's just been really great to have that system, to have people actually use the system. Because, sometimes you have reward recognition programs and people get burnt out.
Yeah.
But not with this.
Yeah.
And it's just really, really, really cool. Plus, new hires, when they come on, they get kudos just for
right off the bat. Yeah,
just for being with us.
That's cool. Did you guys win some innovation award too, based on what you guys do with employees? at the last USFA meeting or 2 years ago?
Yes, the pay for performance.
Yeah, what's that about?
Yes, so that is Mark's baby, and Javier, our director of operations, they've been advocating for this thing for years. And at the district level, which I also didn't realize when I was at the state, you just need USDA to sign off on it, right? But here, in order to have this program, and it's a manager-based program, so it's only for school-based managers, we had to have the compensation sign off, labor relations sign off, the superintendent sign off. So a lot of different people, a lot of different moving parts. But ultimately what it is it gets rid of any other incentive program or any other raise type situations. There's certain requirements that you must have, and if you meet those requirements, then at the end of the year you can see upwards of $10,000 extra in your paycheck. So for example, food costs, if you keep your food costs under a certain percentage, you get a percent towards that pay for performance. If you train your staff, you get a percent towards that. If you're on any other types of teams, like if you're a mentor or a trainer or part of a fair team, you get points. So it's going above and beyond.
Yeah.
It's what Mark has mentioned is you can't just open up your doors and serve students and expect to get a raise, right? Because that's your job.
Yeah.
But if you meet other requirements and you go above and beyond, you can get a ton of money in your paycheck.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Man, like I need to get a job here.
And let me tell you, at the end of the first year, because we handle people's paychecks, but we don't handle bonuses or supplements or the taxes. All of that's handled by the district, thankfully. Mm-hmm. They paid on time. So I saw this huge, exorbitant amount of money come out of our account, and I was like, what is that for? They paid all of the bonuses and stuff, like all at the same time, the pay for performance.
Yeah.
So the managers got it when they were told that they were going to get it. And over a third of our managers got the top tier. So it is doable.
That is awesome.
Yes.
That is so awesome. And you think about how expensive that might be for all the managers that you have. But at the same time, like if they're doing their job efficiently and going above and beyond, they're more than making enough money to cover the cost for the bonus that they just earned or whatever it was, Mm-hmm. That's really cool. That is really cool. Have you seen any other districts take that idea and take a shot at it themselves?
No, not yet.
Not yet.
But our district wants to use the prototype for their employees.
That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense.
And I had a couple of district employees want access to our kudos program, and we had to say, well, unfortunately, it's just for food service staff, and they weren't very happy about it. But that's how you know that something's successful.
I love it. That's so awesome. So what else do we have on this table here? What are we looking at?
Well, we have ramped up our food recovery program, and I would say in the last 5 years. I feel like we have to do our due diligence because we do serve so many meals to at least recover what we can from the landfill and whatever method that looks like. So as food service operators, obviously it starts in the back of the house with batch cooking, offer versus serve, teaching the students what to take, what they don't have to take. Also teaching the administration, please don't tell the child they have to take milk because they don't. Yeah. If they don't want milk, right? Yeah. Because they do have to take specific components already as part of the reimbursable meal. Mm-hmm. So if they don't want to take a milk, they don't have to. And so that's what this is. It's something that our sustainability manager, and we have our own sustainability manager, which I know is not common for food service, but she worked with our marketing director to make these posters to put up in the kitchens.
That's cool. That's cool. So did you guys design them in-house too?
Mm-hmm.
That's
yes.
Cool. They did a great job.
They did. Yeah. And it's nice. And, we've seen a difference. We've seen a decrease. And that's what we want to see, because we want students to take everything if they're going to eat it, right? But if they're not, we would rather keep it and put it back in inventory than for it to go into the trash. Yep. And with our sustainability manager, I mean, she's fantastic. She has to do shared tables, composting, food recovery, farm to school. We just did a Gleaning event.
Okay, let's talk about that. What's that all about?
Okay, so we partnered with FDAX, who offers field trips for students to go glean farms. Do you know what gleaning is?
I do not.
Okay. I learned all about this.
Yeah.
I thought gleaning was to pick up any leftover produce that the tractors or whatnot didn't pick up, right?
Okay.
So that there was nothing left in the field. However, FDACs, when they do these gleaning field trips, we go out to a farm. We went to Long and Scott Farm, which was absolutely fantastic. FDACs will bring their chef out who will do a demonstration and then teach us about the origins of gleaning. So if you were a farmer back in the medieval times, it was actually considered rude and not good to your fellow man to harvest your own crop, all your crops. You were expected to keep like a quarter of your crops still in the field for those less fortunate.
Okay.
To go and
I've
pick,
heard this.
Yes,
yeah.
To go pick their fruits and vegetables. So nowadays, when we glean, you can either keep it for yourself or you donate it like what we did to nonprofits. So we took a high school class out there and we gleaned corn, and they picked, I think, over 50 pounds and donated it to a nonprofit.
That's neat. Mm-hmm. That is really neat.
Oh, trivia. You like trivia?
Oh, gosh,
okay.
Yes.
So how many kernels of corn are on one single cob?
Is it in here?
No, this was from FDACs. Yeah, from the trip.
How many kernel? 250.
Close, 600.
600?
I know.
So my first guess was going to be 500, but that was like, there's no way it could be 500.
Yeah, I still don't think it's 6, right? And then
Goodness.
each kernel comes from something that's called a silt, which is the hair.
Yeah.
I've always called it hair, but it's called silt.
Okay.
And that's what grows the kernel.
Wow.
I know. So these kids, they came in on the morning.
Yeah.
And they were real, like, kind of reserved and like, oh my God, we're on a farm. What are we going to do?
Yeah.
By the end of it, they were just loving life. And I felt that energy. I felt the same way. I was like, let me just go out and pick all the corn I can. And they got to eat stuff. And FDACs cooked corn. Did you know that you can steam corn in a cooler?
Steam corn in a cooler.
Mm-hmm.
How does that work?
Well, you have this big cooler that normally you'd fill up with like beer and ice, right?
Yeah.
They call it tailgating kind of corn. Mm-hmm. You put the corn in there and then you take boiling water, you put it over the corn, you shut the top, 20 minutes later, you got steamed corn.
I'm going to try this when I get home.
Genius, right?
Who would have thought?
So those are the fun aspects of my job. But talking, about produce, her name's Karina, our manager over sustainability. She worked very hard on this Farm to School magazine. And we really want to use this to show parents and students that most of our produce comes from local sources. I mean, we live in Florida.
Yeah.
It would be not smart of us not to use the, things that are local.
So I was, I know the gentleman, Dick Held, who put this together with you guys, right?
Yes.
And whenever he was kind of sharing that idea he had with me, he was showing me the Florida version. So this one right here. And there's so much produce that's grown in Florida that I had no idea was grown in Florida. Like corn, for example. I know we grew corn here, but yeah, we do. It blew my mind. So this is an awesome resource, I feel like, for parents and students.
Yes.
Absolutely amazing.
Yes.
Yeah, and you guys did a great job.
Oh, and I mean, it's just colorful and it has so much information in it. It's nutrition education plus farm to school. And with sustainability, that takes up a lot of my time as well. The district received a grant from USDA to start a composting pilot in 21 schools. So in the cafeteria, any food waste will be composted, right, after it comes out of the kitchen. But in the same sense, we've partnered with the district, even though it's the district's grant, we've partnered to recover food from back of house as well in those 21 pilot schools.
Neat.
I know. It's been really interesting to learn about composting, to see it happening in the schools. It's something that I feel is slow moving, but sustainable.
Yeah. I feel like sustainability, farm to school, all that is getting really, really popular these days. We did a video story with the district out in Colorado, and their farm to school program is pretty cool. So they work with the local butcher, and they have had cattle on their on school property that the kids actually raised, But anyways, so they teach the kids like where meat comes from. Like it's not just about produce. They actually do meat also. And they have this whole long program where they teach the kids like this is how you like they don't actually butcher the meat in front of the kids, but they send the meat off, it gets processed or whatever, butchered, and then they bring it back and they process it with the kids, and they were making sausage links or whatever one day, and it's, like went through the entire process. It was really cool to see these kids like truly understand like where the food comes from. And it's true, like when they know where the food's coming from or they play a piece in the role of processing the food or whatever, they're more likely to eat and they're more interested in it. So it was just cool seeing like the minds explode whenever they're in there, like actually doing the thing with the beef.
I mean, that's incredible.
Yeah, it was pretty wild. And then we went to a solar farm that they have where they grow tons of produce at the same time. So they're super innovative out there in Colorado with the farm to school stuff. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, but then here too, like what you guys are doing in Lee County and other districts, I guess it's just it's a trend these days, which it's a good trend though.
It is, and I feel like it's not a one size fits all, and that's something I've learned very much from the USFA is that the only thing really that keeps us that we're similar in is that we are large school districts, like urban school districts, but it's heartwarming and it's a little bit good to know that every school district, no matter what your size, faces challenges and uniqueness, specific to their area, to their district. Yeah. And I see that in farm to school because if, like, say San Diego's doing something and they're doing great things, it doesn't necessarily work for Orange County, or some of the things that we're doing here doesn't necessarily work for another district. So that makes me relax a little bit to know that we can think outside the box and implement something that's going to be useful for our region, our area.
Yeah. And like, I mean, school districts are not competing. So you guys are always sharing information. Like you said, it may not work in your district, but that might inspire you to go and do something similar that fits the scale of your program.
Yes. Because a few years ago, I was getting real down on myself because the normal model just was not fitting in Orange County. And I felt like I was missing something, like missing just a piece of how to implement it, because we have over 200 schools. We don't have a central warehouse. But then seeing that with my time on the association, I'm like, okay, I'm not missing anything. Yeah. Just got to do what's best for the district itself.
Exactly. So what do you do for fun? Let's talk about personal stuff now. I think you know what I'm referring to.
No,
what are you into? CrossFit?
Yes.
I feel like we bonded over CrossFit.
I think we did.
Ago. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. When's the last time you did CrossFit though?
I'm ashamed to say this. It's been a very long time. So I would say the closest thing to a real WOD that I've done was about 3 or 4 weeks ago.
Oh, that's not bad.
But before then, it was probably like 3 or 4 years. So my grandmother recently passed.
I'm sorry to hear that.
She's a great woman, great blessing to a lot of people. But I had a bunch of family come in town. And my family is super competitive and athletic. So one of my cousins is literally training for the Olympics right now.
Wow.
And like the women on my mom's side of the family, they're like 6 foot plus. Like I'm a shrimp next to all these people, but we're all super competitive. So after the funeral, we're like, oh, we should go work out, right? So
makes sense to me.
Yeah. So of course, like we had to make like this whole like Metcon, AMRAP, like we mixed a bunch of things into one workout, and we did a partner WOD. And when I finished, I was like, I have been missing this so much, because like this is the high you get whenever you're done. It's next level.
Yes.
Next level.
And I love the partner, and I refuse to do it without a partner nowadays. Yeah. The older I get, I'm like, one, it makes your mind just go, okay, maybe I'll get a little break. But at the same time, you're not only competing with your partner, but you're also, they kind of make you do more, make you do better, right?
Yeah. Oh, there was 0 breaks. It was a 3v3. And mind you, the other team, were two of my younger cousins. One of them is a firefighter. He's like in his 20s.
Oh my
Jasmine
gosh.
is a track and field phenomenon, and she's in her 20s
I feel like
also.
they stacked the odds in their favor.
Oh, but they got their butts kicked.
They did. I'm
They got
impressed.
their butts kicked, yeah, because...
Could you walk the next day, though?
Surprisingly, I could,
Okay.
and we did a lot of burpees, so that was the thing. Like, there was no resting. When your partner was working, you were doing burpees.
Oh, God.
It was nonstop for, I think we went, it was a 30-minute, like, circuit AMRAP type
That's
of deal.
awesome.
Yeah, it was a lot40 and I still
Yeah.
got it. 40 years old, I still got it.
Hey, I'm about to have my 40th.
Oh, congrats.
Yep,
Yeah.
and I'm still PRing, which I love. It's very weird because I never thought I would enjoy picking up heavy things and putting down heavy
Yeah,
things.
who would have thought?
Who would have thought?
Yeah.
But when I got this job, I said, okay, if I get the job with the county, I'm actually in town.
Mm-hmm.
I will get a trainer.
Mm.
And the trainer just happened to be a CrossFit fanatic.
There you go.
So I work at a CrossFit gym.
Yeah.
I do the CrossFit workouts. Absolutely love the camaraderie. And I just PR'd on my deadlifting,
Okay.
251.
Okay. Get it, girl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to be able to double my body weight, so
Yeah.
hopefully I'll be able to keep going.
Keep going, keep pushing. It's awesome. I think I may have told you this story, but it's cool how CrossFit is more than just like a physical activity. Like there's a camaraderie, but like I have literally learned life lessons
Yes.
in CrossFit. So, do you know what the open is at right now? Like what number is it? Like I think the 20s yet, or
Maybe.
so I want to say it was like 14.5. It may have been further back, but I had just got into CrossFit, and I used to go to like typical big box gyms. I would just do strength training, whatever. I thought I was strong, but really I was not strong. And the open was going on, so I'm like, all right, let me go ahead and join, right? So the last workout was bar facing burpees, and it was like one of the pyramids, and I had never in my entire life ever wanted to quit something. Like, no joke, 30 minutes in, I was like literally praying to God to save me from this thing. And I was like, wait, should I just fake an injury? Let me pretend like I'm hurt, right? It was the most grueling experience in my entire life. But the whole gym came around me and they supported me, and it was like their energy and their encouragement that got me through the workout.
It really is.
And then when I was done, I was literally lying on the ground like almost dead.
Yeah, bar facing burpee. Well, burpees, I don't like.
Yeah.
I don't even know why they were invented, what their purpose is. I'm sure that there is a purpose.
Yeah.
But I don't know, and I refuse to ever figure out what it is because I just don't like them.
Well, it wasn't even just the bar facing burpees. I think it was thrusters and then bar facing burpees. And it was like 1 and 1 and then 2 and 2.
I've done that workout before.
Miserable. And
It is.
And I was brand new to CrossFit. But
You're like, this
everybody,
is what it is?
Yeah. Everybody came around me. They supported me. I
Yeah.
got through it. And then I was like, if I can do that, I can do anything.
That is very true.
And that's literally the mentality
Yep.
I've had from like since that day. Like if I could finish this workout where I thought I was gonna die, I can do anything else.
Right. It really is very mental. And like my trainer says, when I just want to lay on the floor
Yeah.
and do nothing, he said, just chip away.
Keep moving.
Just keep moving. Even if it's slow, it's
Yep.
more than what you're doing right now.
Small steps in the right direction.
And I take that. I take that lesson and everything I'm doing. Like if I don't want to do something or if I feel like I'm not making any progress, I just take it slow.
Yeah.
Because
That's all you gotta do.
even at a snail pace, you're doing more than if you're just sitting or scared to do it, right? Or uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Because when you do CrossFit, you feel uncomfortable a lot of times.
What you do? But we keep coming back.
Yes. And I think it is because of how you feel after and just overcoming whatever's in your mind that's like, oh, I can't do this, but yeah, you can.
Yeah. So is the deadlift like your thing? Like whenever there's a competition, you're like, oh, I got the deadlifts.
I do love the deadlifts. I also like the overhead press.
Okay.
Straight press.
Yeah.
Like no bend, just straight.
Yeah.
My least favorite would probably have to be the snatch, only because I don't feel like my form. I feel like I straight press that too.
Yeah.
And I feel like if I could get my form right,
Yeah.
I could do so much more weight.
Oh yeah.
And again, that's a mind thing.
Yeah, squat snatches are a tricky thing. I mean, like one wrong move and it could be a bad shoulder tear or whatever it is. That's always difficult. I was always stronger or better at like lifting moderate weight for lots of reps. So like I was like, give me all the AMRAPs, like give me all the Metcons.
Yeah.
Double unders, yes please.
Oh my god, no.
I was a double under king. It got to one point where I was doing triple unders.
Oh, I've never even seen that.
Yeah, it's possible.
Tell my trainer,
yeah. Tell your trainer it's possible.
He's very competitive. I'll say, have you ever done a triple under?
Yeah, ask him. I used to love that and box jumps. I did a 57-inch box jump back in the day. But muscle ups, like when I finally got my first ring muscle up, I was like, all right, it's done.
Yeah, untouchable.
Yeah, like that. Yeah, I was horrible at stringing them together, but I was able to do them. And I learned during one of the CrossFit Opens because like up until then, like we were training for it and I could never pull it off. But you know, like when you're competing, like something happens and that's when I figured it out. And I was like, man, this is it.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
When I did my first pull up, incredible. My first double under, incredible. Yeah. I don't like the cardio. I like it when the cardio is sneaked into, like vegetables.
Yes.
When they sneak it into. Give me like a 300-pound weight and I will try to lift it.
Yeah.
But give me like 20 burpees and I am miserable.
Oh yeah, I used to eat those burpees up. Like once I finally got accustomed to them, I guess you could say, which never really happens. But speaking of pull-ups, so I told you I have 2 sons, right? And those kids are like freak athletes.
That's awesome.
They don't even know they're athletic yet, but they're just like starting to like finally understand because my kids are nerds like me. And although like I played a lot of sports growing up, like they didn't want to get into any ball sports. But my daughter started doing gymnastics. And then my youngest son was like, oh, that looks cool. Let me try it too. This kid can knock out like 5 pull-ups like it's nothing. Like it is crazy. He's 8 years old. He is ridiculous.
Do you think it's because kids don't know that they can't do it? Like they don't have that inner fear yet or inner dialogue?
Yeah, it could be. Yep. And then even my oldest, who is probably nerdier than me, and I'm so happy for it. Like this kid walked down the stairs the other day, like 8-pack. He's doing pull-ups. He's in Ninja Warrior training and doing all sorts of crazy stuff. Like it is wild. And I could do my pull-up until my first pull-up, probably till like high school.
Right.
And these kids are doing it like it's nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They don't even realize how cool they are.
Don't even realize it.
Yeah.
They could
it's just
care less.
Second nature to them.
Yeah.
My son's very similar.
Yeah.
He does weightlifting with me because I make him go to the gym.
Good.
And he can do 40-pound deadlifts, but he's just like, yeah, that's just another day.
No big deal, Mom.
Yeah, no big deal.
That's awesome. I love it. Well, hey, Mallory, thank you so much for opening up the office to me today, letting me come in and hang out. We've kind of been chatting about doing this for a while. I'm glad we did. But one thing we do need to do, which I have been talking about for a while, is actually make it to a gym one of these days. And we need to. I need to figure out a way to make that happen because I've been saying it for way too long with no action, no execution.
I agree. We should do that.
All right. Well, any last words you'd like to say to the people out there listening? I mean, that's your camera right there. You can say it if you want to.
Oh, well, if you're still here listening, thanks. But in all seriousness, thank you for having me on. This has been lovely. I don't normally get time in my day just to talk about the program. And I know I geek out about the incredibleness of the child nutrition programs. But I think that they're just so important and relevant to life. And I think that that's one thing that's going to stay constant.
Well, it's my pleasure. Thank you so much for everything you do for the district, your community, for the state, for the Urban School Food Line, for all the people. You are amazing. You work for an amazing organization, and you guys are super innovative and inspirational. It's literally an honor to have the chance to come here and sit down and chit chat with you for a bit. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yep. All right. Thanks for watching.